Hi, and welcome back to Cedar Porch Homestead. I'm JR, and if you allow me on a little bit of rant today, we're going to be talking about eggs. Now, eggs come in a lot of different shapes and sizes, and I'm not just talking about the white eggs, the brown eggs, the yard eggs, the farm eggs, all the things that you normally hear about eggs. We're actually going to get down to the nitty-gritty on what actually the marketing behind eggs really means. Let's get to it. All right, so here we are in my own coop where we have fresh farm eggs, and let's see how that production's happening right now. As you can hear behind me, she is not too happy that I disturbed her. However, that is a fresh farm egg. So even outside my own run right here, I will tell you that these are not the quality of eggs that I would really like to produce. But let's start at the bottom and we'll work our way up. Okay, so let's have a discussion about these eggs. Now, when you go to the grocery store, typically the cheapest eggs you're gonna find are going to be caged eggs. Now, caged eggs means that these hens were stacked on top of each other in what's called battery cages. They put multiple hens in the same cage. They are fed on a conveyor belt most times. Their eggs roll out the back, and their poop is then removed. So there's a lot of mechanical things involved, and these birds do not get a whole lot of room. They live out what typically is about 2 years of their life in production in these cages without ever seeing the light of the day. They are constantly under artificial lights that are there to produce the highest amount of eggs for those hens. Now, those hens are typically leghorns or something of that nature that are production hens, and they're generating somewhere between 250 to 300 plus eggs a year. Now, that is their methodology behind this industrial model. Now, not only are these caged hens in confinement, which a lot of people want to believe that it is an animal rights issue in just the fact of how they are confined, I will take it a step further and tell you that their feed ration is also to play. These hens are going to be fed typically a ration that is not the healthiest. They're going to be fed crops that are industrial models. So that means it's going to be a lot of GMO crops, a lot of soy, a lot of corn, a lot of things that have glyphosate sprayed on them. And everything a hen takes in for her feed, she's going to pass into her egg, and that becomes what you eat. So caged eggs, as bad as they are, there is a price point for that. A lot of people at the grocery store just don't feel like they can spend that extra amount on a better quality egg. But I will put this to you that if that is what you are going to be spending your money on now, your health is going to be something that you're going to be spending money on later. Now, there are different quality of eggs, and we're going to walk through those. But let's get the caged eggs out of the way, because I just don't even consider that food anymore, because it's just going to be feeding yourself sickness for the future. So the next tier of egg is going to be cage free. Now, cage free looks really good on the container, but what that means is that all those hens that were in cages, well, they're in the same building. Essentially, they're just free roaming in that confined building. It's the same amount of birds typically. They are just on top of each other all over the place. And they have little nesting boxes that are lining the walls or in the center that these birds then go and lay their eggs in. But for the most part, these birds still do not get any sunlight. They're all controlled by artificial lights. It's typically the same type of birds, the leghorns or the production hens, that are in these environments. And the market will actually talk about how wonderful this program is, how they can control every aspect of the hen, how they control the airflow, how they control the temperature. But what they're not telling you what they're controlling is everything that makes a chicken, they completely take out of the equation. Chickens should be able to scratch, they should be able to forage, they should be able to go and be outside and get lots of sunlight. It's actually good for them too. So even with the cage-free eggs, there are certain marketing terms that they are throwing out to you at the grocery store that they want to draw your attention to. And some of these marketing terms, not only are they just marketing terms to draw your attention, some of them are actually a little bit on the more unhealthy side. Now, the best one that I absolutely love is the one that says that these birds were fed a vegetarian diet. Now, if you are feeding your birds vegetarian diets, they're not getting everything they need to be the chicken that they were designed to be. If you believe that your chickens are vegetarian, I will just tell you, Find a chicken and throw out vegetable scraps and meat scraps and see which one they go for first. Typically, they're going to be going for those meat scraps because they know that that's high in protein and they love high protein diets, and that's what they're going to go for. Now, birds should not be fed a vegetarian diet. That is a marketing ploy to get you to buy those cage-free vegetarian eggs. Now, if it's organic, that is going to be a better quality food. That's going to be a better quality nutritional ration for that bird because it's not going to have all the pesticides and herbicides necessarily sprayed that the industrial crops are going to. It's still a lot of times a marketing ploy because organic has not been the organic that it used to be. Things qualify as organic that used to not. I'm not going to go into all of that. That might be for a future video. So the next step of egg after cage free is going to be free range. Now again, there is quality in some of this product, but it is not necessarily what you believe. They're going to paint a picture that this bird is free roaming, it gets complete access to the outside at any time, and that is not necessarily a true statement either. These birds do have access to outside, but if it's up north, well, they're cold for over 6 months of the year, so those birds are not allowed to go outside during those 6 months because the temperature's too cold, it'll slow production, so they're put inside and they're shut in. They're controlled by artificial light still. Their feed ration is very important again because just because they're free range, you have to see what that bird is eating. Because again, I will repeat this over and over again. Whatever the bird is eating is what you are taking in when you eat that bird's egg. Now, free range, a lot of times it is much better than caged, obviously, and cage free because they do have access to outside. But because the industrial model is going to try to show you that, well, that these birds are going to be completely out on the grass all the time, they're going to be free range. That's a romantic idea and a marketing ploy typically. Now, again, I will say in quality, these are going to be better quality than the cage, and they're going to be better quality than the cage free. So free range is a little bit better. Now, let's go to the fourth quality, and that is you can go to the grocery store. This is now a pretty common thing to see, pasture raised. Now, pasture raised is much, much different than free range. Pasture raised means that these birds are raised out on pasture. That means they have to be moved daily. They have to have a certain amount of square footage of new grass that they're being offered at certain times of the year. And they are going to be virtually the most chickenest of the chicken that you can get because daily they're going to be out, they're going to be foraging, they're going to be picking up the grasses, the grasshoppers, the crickets, all the bugs. They're going to be scraping through all the stuff that chickens need to scrape through. And they're going to be out on sunlight. No matter what the weather is going to be, they're going to have access to that pasture. Now, just because that box says they are pasture raised, we go back to their feed ration. Feed ration is probably one of the most important things when it comes to these birds because just because they're on pasture, you have to look at what they're eating because that pasture is only going to supplement 20 to 30% of their total food intake. The rest is going to be a grain or a feed ration that they're fed daily. Now, if they are fed a generic industrialized model that is, well, not healthy for them, then they're going to pass that unhealthiness to you. They is a better quality because they are on pasture. Now, as far as the pasture raised birds, those eggs are going to be the highest quality as long as they are fed an organic or at least a non-soy, non-GMO feed because they are going to be passing that nutrition, again, directly to you. Now, as far as price, the cage is going to be cheapest, cage free is next, free range is going to be next, and pasture raised birds are going to be the most expensive eggs. However, with the pasture raised eggs, you are getting such a higher quality. Now, I'll actually link a PubMed article underneath that actually this is a documented, journaled finding that the nutrition of these pasture raised eggs is so much more than the other quality of eggs because these chickens have full access to grass year round and they're always getting the nutrition and sunlight that they need to be the highest quality chicken that they need to be. So you're sitting there and you're wondering, okay, where do I start? Where do I even go? All I know is I go to the grocery store, there's 100 different types of eggs, there's tons of cartons, some of them have beautiful pictures on them. Where do I even start? And my suggestion, don't go to the grocery store for your eggs. During COVID, I read a study that there was over 1 million backyard flocks in the US started. So a lot of those flocks are still going strong today. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, talk to your family that started raising their own birds, because guess what? They're probably raising a lot more hens than they need, and they're probably generating a lot more eggs than they eat. So a lot of times you can get these free eggs, or you can buy eggs from them, and they're going to be better quality than typically anything you're going to buy at the store anyways. Now, don't be afraid to ask them, what do you feed your birds? How are they raised? What is their environment like? What's the hygiene? Don't be afraid to ask to come see what those people are doing in their own backyards or on their farms to find out what quality of egg you're going to get. If you show up and you can't stand to be around those birds because the smell is so bad, guess what? Those aren't the eggs that you want. Smell is going to tell you pretty much everything you need to know about the quality of that farm and the quality of those birds, because if it stinks to you, think of what they're living in, and that is what they're putting into the eggs. Because I promise you, you go to one of these factory farms, you're not going to be able to walk anywhere on the lot without smelling the entire thing. So I hope I've been able to walk you through some of the pitfalls and the marketing things that are at the grocery store so you don't get hung up on some of the wording that you're seeing at the grocery store. Like I said, patron your family, your friends, your neighbors that have their own backyard flocks, or if you're interested in starting your own backyard flock, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. Hit that notification bell so you're notified when we come out with new videos, and give us a thumbs up and leave a comment below or a question. We love interacting with you guys, finding out where you're at on your own journey, because we love seeing these backyard flocks starting up all over the place. And we'll see you on our next video.